What if you achieved everything and still feel empty because the hero's journey was never meant for the heroine? Hello. Good evening. Or maybe it's already late at night where you are. Welcome to the Stillpoint. If you're new here, thank you for finding us. And if you subscribed, you're part of a quiet community now. People who think, who question, who seek. Sometimes I wonder about the lives on the other side of this screen. The cities, the small towns, the different corners of the world where you might be listening. The stories that brought you here. If you ever feel moved, the comments section is there. A quiet place to leave a thought, a moment, a trace of where you are. This is your refuge. For the next hour, the noise stops. The scrolling ends. You don't have to do anything. Just be here. You're safe. Let's begin. The heroine's journey begins not with a call to adventure, but with a rejection. A turning away. A looking at the mother and saying, no, not this. Not her life. Not her limitations. Not her powerlessness. Not her confinement to the domestic sphere. Not her sacrifice of self for others. Not her silence. Not her smallness. Not her acceptance of less. The young woman looks at her mother and sees everything she does not want to become. Sees a life she must escape. A fate she must avoid. And so she turns away. Turns toward the father. Toward the masculine world. Toward achievement and recognition and power. Toward everything the mother does not have. This is the first stage of the heroine's journey. This is the separation from the feminine. And it is necessary. And it is painful. And it carries consequences that will echo through every stage that follows. Maureen Murdock, Jungian analyst and psychotherapist, named this pattern after working with countless women who came to her in midlife crisis. Successful women. Accomplished women. Women who had achieved everything they set out to achieve in the masculine world, and who felt empty, disconnected, lost. They had followed what Joseph Campbell called the hero's journey, had left home, had faced trials, had conquered the outer world, had brought back the boon, but it had not made them whole. Had not satisfied the deepest longing, had left them spiritually arid, disconnected from their own feminine ground. And Murdock realized the hero's journey is not the heroine's journey. Women's path to wholeness is different, requires different stages, different descents, different recognitions, and it begins here. With the rejection of the mother, with the separation from the feminine, with the turn toward the masculine as the only path to value and power. Why does the heroine reject her mother? Because in patriarchal culture, the mother represents powerlessness, represents limitation, represents the devalued feminine. The young woman looks at her mother and sees someone who sacrificed her own dreams for family, who made herself small to make others comfortable, who accepted less because she was told that was her role, who was confined to the domestic sphere while men moved freely in the world, who had no money of her own, no power of her own, no voice that was truly heard. And the daughter does not want this. Refuses this, will do anything to avoid this fate. And so she turns away from her mother, rejects identification with the feminine, seeks instead to be like the father, to have what he has, to move in the world as he moves, to be valued as he is valued. This rejection is not personal. It is not about the individual mother, though it may feel that way. It is about what the mother represents in a culture that devalues the feminine. The mother is the carrier of the feminine role, the one who shows the daughter what it means to be a woman in this culture. And if what it means to be a woman is to be powerless, to be limited, to be less than, then the daughter must reject it, must separate from it, must find another way. And the only other way visible in patriarchal culture is the masculine way, the way of achievement, of competition, of rationality over emotion, of independence over connection, of success in the outer world. And so the daughter identifies with the masculine, becomes what Jungians call the father's daughter, the woman who earns her value by being like men, by excelling in men's domains, by proving she is not like other women. In Greek mythology, Athena is the archetype of this pattern, born from Zeus's head with no mother, the father's daughter par excellence. She is loyal to patriarchy, serves male heroes, thinks strategically, rationally, without the interference of emotion. She is respected in the masculine world, is allowed into spaces where other women are not welcome. But she has no connection to the feminine, no mother to ground her, no relationship to her own feminine nature. She is all masculine identification, and she is powerful in the world. But she is also cut off, disconnected, unable to access the very thing she has rejected, the feminine wisdom of body, emotion, intuition, connection. The separation from the feminine takes many forms. The young woman rejects traditionally feminine interests, scorns domesticity, has no interest in cooking, decorating, nurturing, sees these as evidence of limitation rather than as valid ways of being in the world. She focuses instead on achievement, on grades, on career, on competition. She learns to think like a man, they say, and she takes it as a compliment. Learns to be rational, strategic, unemotional. Learns to suppress feelings because feelings are weak. Learns to ignore her body because the body is unreliable, gets in the way, demands things that interfere with achievement. Learns to value independence over connection because needing others is dependency and dependency is weakness. She becomes the woman who says, I am not like other women, who distances herself from the feminine, who has mostly male friends because women are too emotional, too dramatic, too focused on relationships. She is the cool girl, the one who can hang with the guys, who does not need special treatment, who can compete on their terms, who proves her worth by being exceptional, by being different, by being not woman in all the ways that matter in patriarchal culture. And this gives her access, gives her opportunity, gives her a path to power that would not be available if she identified as feminine. But it also costs her connection to herself, to her own body, to her own emotions, to other women, to the very ground of her being. Culture supports this separation, rewards it. The girl who excels academically is praised. The young woman who pursues a demanding career is admired. The woman who is successful in traditionally male fields is celebrated as a pioneer, a role model, proof that women can do anything men can do. And this is important, is necessary, Women need access to education, to careers, to power in the world. But what is not acknowledged is the cost. The cost of rejecting the feminine, of cutting off from mother, from body, from emotion, from connection. The cost of becoming animus identified, of identifying so completely with the masculine that you lose touch with your own feminine ground. Culture does not name this cost, does not warn about it, does not prepare women for the emptiness that comes from achieving success in masculine terms while rejecting everything feminine. And so the young heroine moves forward, leaves the mother behind, enters the masculine world, adopts masculine values, learns masculine strategies, becomes successful on masculine terms, and believes this is the path, believes that achievement will bring fulfillment, that recognition will bring wholeness, that power in the outer world will satisfy the longing inside. She does not yet know that this is only the first stage of the journey, does not yet know that the separation from the feminine, though necessary, is not the end, is the beginning, is the movement that will eventually require a return, a descent, a reconnection with everything she has rejected. But that is later. For now, she is focused on one thing, proving her worth, earning her place, succeeding in the world that values achievement over being, doing over feeling, masculine over feminine. The separation from the mother is also a rejection of the body. In patriarchal culture, the feminine is associated with the body, with pregnancy, childbirth, menstruation, sexuality. The body that bleeds, the body that changes, the body that is uncontrollable, the body that demands attention at inconvenient times. And the heroine, in her identification with the masculine, learns to reject the body, to see it as something to be controlled, managed, transcended. She learns to ignore hunger, fatigue, pain, to push through physical limits, to value mental work over physical experience, to live in her head rather than in her body, because the body is feminine, and the feminine is what she is trying to escape. This rejection of the body will have consequences, will lead to illness, burnout, disconnection. But the heroine does not know this yet, is too busy achieving, too busy proving, too busy moving forward into the masculine world. The body's messages are ignored, pushed down, overridden, and for a time, this works. The young body is resilient, can handle the neglect, can keep going on willpower and coffee and the drive to succeed. But the body keeps score, and eventually it will demand to be heard, will force the descent that the heroine does not yet know is coming. But that is Act 3. For now, in Act 1, the body is an inconvenience, a limitation, something to be managed and controlled so that it does not interfere with achievement. The separation from the mother is also a rejection of emotion. In the masculine world, emotion is weakness, is unprofessional, is something to be controlled, suppressed, hidden. And the heroine learns this lesson well, learns to be rational, strategic, unemotional, learns to make decisions with her head, not her heart, learns to suppress tears because crying is unprofessional, learns to suppress anger because angry women are called difficult, unreasonable, hysterical, learns to suppress fear because admitting fear is admitting weakness. She becomes emotionally controlled, calm, professional, reliable, never too much, never too emotional, never allowing feelings to interfere with work. And this too is valued, is rewarded, makes her someone who can be counted on, who does not bring drama, who is easy to work with, who is like the men. But emotions do not disappear because they are suppressed. They go underground, go into the body, go into the shadow, and they wait. Wait to be acknowledged. Wait to be felt. Wait to erupt at inconvenient times or in unhealthy ways. The heroine who has learned to suppress emotion becomes disconnected from her own feelings, does not know what she actually wants or needs, has learned to override her own emotional responses in favor of what is rational, strategic, acceptable. And this disconnection will also demand to be addressed, will also contribute to the crisis that eventually forces the descent. But for now, the suppression of emotion seems like strength, seems like maturity, seems like what is necessary to succeed in a world that does not value feelings. The separation from the mother is also a separation from other women. The heroine who has identified with the masculine often has difficult relationships with other women, sees them as competitive threats, or as less than because they have not rejected the feminine as completely, or as incomprehensible because they value connection and emotion and relationship over achievement and independence. She is the woman who says she prefers male friends, who finds women too dramatic, too emotional, too focused on things that do not matter, who does not understand the value of female friendship, of sisterhood, of the support that comes from women who understand the unique challenges of being female in patriarchal culture. This too is a loss, is a cutting off from a source of support and wisdom and connection that will be needed later in the journey. But culture reinforces this separation from other women, teaches women to compete with each other rather than support each other, teaches that there are limited spots for women at the top, so you must fight for yours. Teaches that female friendship is less important than romantic relationship with men or professional relationship with male colleagues. Teaches women to police each other, to judge each other, to distance themselves from women who are too feminine or not feminine enough. The heroine internalizes these messages, becomes isolated from other women, becomes the exceptional woman, the one who made it, the one who is not like the others. And this isolation too has costs, leaves her without the support she will need when the crisis comes, when the masculine achievement proves insufficient, when the emptiness becomes unbearable. The identification with the masculine gives the heroine many gifts, gives her access to education, to careers, to financial independence, gives her the ability to compete, to achieve, to prove her worth in the world, gives her rationality, strategy, focus, gives her the tools to succeed in patriarchal culture. And these are real gifts, are necessary. Women need these tools, need access to the masculine world, need the ability to think strategically, to compete, to achieve. The problem is not the masculine identification itself. The problem is when it becomes the only identification, when it requires the complete rejection of the feminine, when it cuts the heroine off from her own body, her own emotions, her own connections, her own feminine ground. This is the cost of the separation. This is what will eventually demand to be addressed. And so the first stage of the heroine's journey is complete. She has rejected the mother, has separated from the feminine, has identified with the masculine, has entered the world of achievement and competition and rational thinking, has learned to suppress body, emotion, connection, has become the father's daughter, the exceptional woman, the one who is not like other women. She is ready for the next stage, ready to prove herself in the masculine world, ready to face the trials that will test her worthiness, ready to achieve the success that she believes will bring fulfillment. She does not yet know that this success, when it comes, will not be enough. Does not yet know that the separation from the feminine, though necessary, has created a split that will eventually demand healing. Does not yet know that the path forward leads eventually to a descent, to a dark night of the soul, to a reconnection with everything she has rejected. But that knowledge will come. That crisis will arrive. And when it does, she will look back on this moment, this rejection of the mother, this turn toward the masculine, and understand it differently. We'll see it not as a mistake, but as a necessary stage, a necessary movement, part of the larger journey toward wholeness. Rest now with this recognition. Rest knowing that if you have rejected the feminine, you are not alone. That this is the pattern, the necessary first stage for women growing up in patriarchal culture. That the rejection of the mother is not personal failure but cultural conditioning. That the identification with the masculine is a survival strategy, a way to gain access to power in a world that devalues the feminine. But also know that this is not the end of the journey. That the separation from the feminine, though necessary, creates a wound, creates an emptiness, creates a longing that achievement cannot satisfy, and that eventually the journey will require a return, will require a descent, will require reconnection with the rejected feminine, with the mother, with the body, with emotion, with connection, with everything you turned away from in order to succeed. This is the heroine's journey, not a straight line to triumph, but a spiral, a descent and return, a separation and reconnection, a journey toward wholeness that requires embracing both masculine and feminine, both achievement and being, both doing and feeling, both independence and connection. The journey has just begun. Now she enters the world, the masculine world, the world of achievement and competition and proving worth. She has rejected the feminine, has identified with the masculine, and now she must prove that this choice was right, must demonstrate that she belongs, that she can compete, that she is as good as the men, better than the men, exceptional, not like other women. This is the road of trials, the testing ground, the arena where she will face challenge after challenge and overcome them all, where she will climb the ladder, break the glass ceiling, earn respect, gain recognition, achieve success. This is what she believes will bring fulfillment, what she believes will prove her worth, what she believes will finally satisfy the longing inside. And so she works harder than anyone, works longer hours, sacrifices more, proves more, until she achieves, until she succeeds, until she has everything she thought she wanted, and discovers it is not enough. The road of trials for women in patriarchal culture is different than for men. Men face challenges, yes, face competition, face the need to prove themselves, but they are proving themselves within a system designed for them, within structures that recognize and value masculine ways of being, Women are proving themselves in a system not designed for them, in structures that value masculine traits and devalue feminine ones, in spaces where they are often the only woman, where they must work twice as hard to be seen as half as good, where they face not just the normal challenges of achievement but also sexism, harassment, discrimination, the constant subtle and not so subtle messages that they do not belong, that they are interlopers, that their presence is tolerated but not truly welcomed. And so she works harder, arrives earlier, stays later, never complains, never shows weakness, never admits to struggling, never asks for help, because asking for help is admitting you cannot do it alone, and women who cannot do it alone are proving the stereotype right, are confirming what everyone suspects, that women are not cut out for this, that they are too emotional, too weak, too distracted by family responsibilities. And so she becomes the woman who never takes a sick day, who works through illness, who comes back from childbirth after the minimum leave because taking more time would be admitting that motherhood interferes with career, who stays late even when exhausted because leaving on time might be seen as lack of commitment, who says yes to every project, every opportunity, every demand because saying no might mean being passed over for the next promotion. She learns the unspoken rules, the ways women must navigate masculine spaces differently than men, must be competent but not threatening, smart but not intimidating, ambitious but not aggressive, must smile enough to be likable but not so much that they are not taken seriously, must be warm enough to be approachable but not so warm that they are seen as soft, must have opinions but not be opinionated, must be confident but not arrogant, must be leaders but not bossy. The tightrope is narrow, the margin for error is small, and she learns to walk it, learns to modulate her voice, her appearance, her behavior, learns to be just feminine enough to not be called mannish but not so feminine that she is not taken seriously, learns to navigate the impossible standards that apply to women but not to men. She faces harassment, the comments about her appearance, the questions about her personal life that would never be asked of male colleagues, the assumptions that she got the job because of affirmative action, not merit, the credit for her work going to male colleagues, the ideas she proposes being ignored until a man says the same thing and is praised for brilliance, the subtle exclusions from after-work drinks, golf outings, informal networks where real decisions are made, the not-so-subtle propositions, the jokes at her expense, the being called honey or sweetie by men she outranks, the constant low-level assault on her dignity and her right to be there. And she learns to handle it, learns to laugh it off, to not make waves, to pick her battles, to let the small things go because fighting every battle would be exhausting and would mark her as difficult, as not a team player, as someone who cannot take a joke. And through it all, she achieves, climbs the ladder, earns promotions, gains recognition, becomes successful by any external measure. She has the title, the salary, the corner office, the respect of colleagues, the recognition in her field. She has proven herself, has shown that women can compete, can succeed, can excel in traditionally male domains. She is the role model, the trailblazer, the woman who made it. And she should feel fulfilled, should feel satisfied, should feel that all the sacrifice was worth it. But she does not. Instead, she feels empty, disconnected, wondering if this is all there is, wondering why achievement does not bring the satisfaction she expected, wondering what is missing. This is the awakening to spiritual aridity, the recognition that success in the outer world does not bring inner fulfillment. That achievement does not satisfy the soul. That recognition and respect and money and status, while valuable, while important, are not enough. Something deeper is missing. Something that cannot be achieved through more work, more success, more proving. She has followed the masculine path, has done everything right according to masculine values, and it has brought her to this place of emptiness, of disconnection, of wondering what the point is, of feeling successful on the outside and dead on the inside. Part of what is missing is connection. Connection to herself, to her body, to her emotions, to other people in deep and meaningful ways. She has sacrificed all of this for achievement, has put career above relationships, has worked instead of resting, has thought instead of feeling, has achieved instead of being. And now she looks around and realizes she is alone, that she has colleagues but not friends, that she has success but not intimacy, that she has proven her worth to the world but lost connection to herself. The relationships she has are superficial, based on professional networking rather than genuine connection. She does not know how to be vulnerable, how to ask for help, how to admit weakness, how to simply be with someone without an agenda. She has been performing for so long, performing competence, performing confidence, performing the role of successful professional, that she has forgotten who she is beneath the performance. Part of what is missing is her body. She has been living in her head for years, decades, ignoring the body's needs, ignoring hunger, fatigue, pain, pushing through, overriding, using caffeine and willpower to keep going. And the body has been keeping score, has been sending messages, headaches, back pain, digestive issues, insomnia, anxiety, depression, the body trying to get her attention, trying to tell her that something is wrong, that this way of living is not sustainable, that she cannot keep going like this. But she has been too busy to listen, too focused on achievement to pay attention. And now the body may force the issue, may break down in ways that cannot be ignored. Illness, burnout, exhaustion so profound that she cannot simply push through anymore. The body demanding what she has refused to give voluntarily. Part of what is missing is her emotions. She has been suppressing feelings for so long that she barely knows what she feels anymore. Has learned to be rational, strategic, unemotional, to make decisions with her head, not her heart, to override emotional responses with logical analysis. And this has served her well in the professional world, has made her reliable, stable, someone who does not bring drama, but it has also cut her off from a vital source of information, from the wisdom of emotion, from the guidance of feelings that tell her what she actually wants, what she actually needs, what actually matters to her. She no longer knows, has lost touch with her own desires, with her own needs, with her own truth, lives according to external measures of success rather than internal sense of meaning. Part of what is missing is the feminine, The very thing she rejected at the beginning of the journey. The thing she turned away from in order to succeed in the masculine world. And now she is beginning to realize that the feminine was not the problem. The problem was how the feminine is devalued in patriarchal culture. How women who embody feminine qualities are seen as less than. How feminine ways of being are dismissed as weak, as inferior, as not valuable. She rejected the feminine to escape that devaluation, to gain access to power and respect and success. But in rejecting the feminine, she also rejected parts of herself. Parts that are now calling to her, asking to be reclaimed, asking to be integrated. The body, the emotions, the intuition, the connection, the creativity, the capacity for receptivity, for being rather than doing, for valuing process over product. All the things the masculine world dismisses. All the things she dismissed in order to succeed. She looks at other women. Women who chose differently. Women who prioritized relationship over career. Who became mothers. Who stayed home with children. Who did not pursue the masculine path of achievement and success. And she feels something complicated. Part judgment, they took the easy way out. They settled. They did not have the courage to compete. Part envy. They have connections she does not have, intimacy she lacks, a sense of meaning that comes from relationship and nurturing. Part confusion. Did she make the wrong choice? Should she have chosen differently? Is it too late to change? She does not know. Knows only that the path she chose, while it brought success, did not bring fulfillment, did not bring wholeness, did not bring peace. And she begins to ask the question that changes everything. Is this all there is? Is success in the masculine world the endpoint? Or is there something more? Something deeper? Some path she has not yet discovered? This question is the beginning of the next stage. The beginning of the recognition that the masculine path, while valuable, while necessary, is not complete, is not the whole journey, is only the first half. And that the second half, the part that involves descent, reconnection, integration, is calling to her, is demanding her attention, is refusing to be ignored any longer. But she does not yet know this, does not yet understand that the emptiness she feels is not a problem to be solved through more achievement, but a doorway to transformation. Does not yet know that she will have to descend, will have to let go of the very success she has worked so hard to achieve, will have to reconnect with the feminine she rejected, will have to face the shadow, the wound, the parts of herself she has been running from since the beginning. For now, she is still trying to solve the problem with masculine solutions, trying to achieve her way out of emptiness, trying to work harder, accomplish more, reach the next level, believing that the next promotion, the next recognition, the next achievement will finally bring satisfaction, not yet understanding that no amount of external success can fill an internal void. Not yet recognizing that what she needs is not more doing but more being, not more achievement but more connection, not more proving but more accepting, not more masculine striving but more feminine allowing. These lessons are coming, are on the horizon, but first she must reach the breaking point, must face the crisis that will force the descent, must come to the end of the masculine path and find it insufficient, must stand at the edge of the void and realize that the only way forward is down. The road of trials has taught her much, has given her strength, resilience, competence, has shown her she can achieve, can compete, can succeed, has proven that women can do anything men can do. These are not small gifts, are essential, are necessary. Women need these skills, need this confidence, need this proof that they are capable. But the road of trials has also taken much, has cost her connection to herself, to her body, to her emotions, to other women, to the feminine, has left her successful but empty, recognized but disconnected, achieved but unfulfilled. And now she stands at a crossroads, can continue on the masculine path, achieving more and more while feeling less and less, or can turn towards something else, something that terrifies her, something that looks like failure from the outside but is actually the next necessary stage of the journey, something that requires letting go of control, descending into darkness, facing the shadow, reconnecting with the rejected feminine. This is what is calling. This is what is waiting. This is where the journey must go if she is to become whole. Rest now with this recognition. Rest knowing that if you have walked the road of trials, if you have achieved success in the masculine world and felt the emptiness that comes with it, you are not alone. This is the pattern. This is the heroine's journey. The achievement is real. The success is real. The competence is real. But it is not complete. Is not the end point. Is the midpoint. The place from which the real transformation begins. The recognition that outer achievement cannot bring inner fulfillment is not failure. Is awakening. Is the beginning of wisdom, is the doorway to the second half of the journey, the half that involves descent, reconnection, integration, the half that will ask you to reclaim what you rejected, to face what you have been avoiding, to become whole rather than simply successful. The road of trials has prepared you, has made you strong enough for what comes next, has given you the resilience you will need for the descent. You are ready. The journey continues, and what comes next will change everything. The descent comes, sometimes gradually, sometimes suddenly, sometimes chosen, more often forced. The structures she has built collapse. The identity she has constructed crumbles. The success she has achieved proves insufficient to hold back the rising tide of emptiness. And she falls into darkness, into the underworld, into the realm of the goddess she rejected at the beginning of the journey. This is not failure, though it feels like failure, though from the outside it may look like breakdown, like loss of control, like everything falling apart. This is initiation. This is the necessary descent. This is the dark night of the soul that precedes transformation. This is the heroine meeting the dark feminine, the rejected mother, the shadow self, the parts of herself she has been running from since the beginning. And there is no way forward except through. No way to wholeness except down. The descent can be triggered by many things. Illness. The body finally refusing to be ignored any longer. Breaking down in ways that cannot be pushed through or managed or controlled. Chronic illness. Autoimmune disease. Cancer. Depression so profound that getting out of bed becomes impossible. The body saying, you will stop now. You will rest now. You will pay attention now. Or the descent comes through loss, divorce, the end of a relationship she thought would last, the death of a parent, the loss of a job despite years of dedication, betrayal by someone she trusted, the sudden collapse of structures she thought were solid, or the descent comes through simply not being able to continue. Burnout so complete that she cannot do one more day, cannot smile one more time, cannot perform competence one more hour. The mask cracks, the performance ends, and she falls into the void she has been avoiding. Whatever triggers it, the descent is characterized by loss of control. The heroine who has been managing, achieving, controlling, proving, suddenly cannot control what is happening, cannot fix it, cannot think her way out, cannot work harder to solve it. All the strategies that worked in the masculine world, rationality, effort, strategy, willpower, are useless here. In the underworld, in the realm of the dark feminine, different rules apply. Here, you must surrender, must let go, must stop trying to control and allow yourself to be undone, must die to who you have been in order to be reborn as who you are becoming. And this is terrifying for someone who has built her entire identity on competence, on control, on achieving, on proving worth through doing, to have to stop doing, to have to surrender control, to have to simply be in the darkness and wait. This feels like annihilation. She meets the dark goddess, Kali, Hecate, Ereshkigal, the crone, the death bringer, the one who strips away everything inessential, the one who demands truth, the one who will not accept the persona, the performance, the mask. The dark goddess sees through all of it, sees the woman beneath the achievement, the fear beneath the competence, the longing beneath the independence, the wound beneath the strength. And she demands surrender, demands that the heroine let go of who she thinks she should be and face who she actually is. This is brutal, is painful, is the stripping away of every defense, every protection, every way of hiding. The heroine is naked before the dark goddess, vulnerable, without armor, without the achievements that proved her worth, without the roles that gave her identity, just herself, raw, real, afraid. In the darkness, she faces what she has been avoiding, the grief she never allowed herself to feel, the anger she suppressed because anger was unprofessional, the sadness she pushed down because there was no time for sadness, the fear she denied because admitting fear was admitting weakness, the loneliness she ignored because she was too busy to be lonely. All of it rises now, demands to be felt, demands to be acknowledged. The emotions she has been running from for years, for decades, flood back. And she must feel them, must sit with them, must allow them to move through her without trying to fix them or manage them or make them go away. This is the work of the underworld. Not fixing, not achieving, not solving, but feeling, being with, allowing, surrendering to the process of emotional digestion that she has been avoiding. She faces the mother, not the actual mother, though healing that relationship may be part of this, but the archetypal mother, the feminine she rejected, the softness she scorned, the receptivity she feared, the vulnerability she avoided, the need for connection she denied, all the feminine qualities she pushed away in order to succeed in the masculine world. They are here, waiting for her, asking to be reclaimed, and she must face her own prejudice against them. must recognize that she internalized the patriarchal devaluation of the feminine, that she agreed with the culture's assessment that feminine qualities are weak, inferior, less valuable, that she rejected the feminine not because it was actually problematic, but because the culture told her it was. And this recognition is painful, is humbling, is the beginning of understanding what she lost in the separation. The descent strips away identity. She is not her job, is not her achievements, is not her success, is not her roles. All the things she thought defined her, all the external markers of worth, are revealed as temporary, as insufficient, as not who she actually is. In the darkness, without the structures and achievements and roles, she must discover, who am I beneath all of this? Who am I when I am not performing? When I am not achieving? When I am not proving my worth? Who is the woman underneath the mask? And this is terrifying because she may not know, may have been performing for so long that she has lost touch with her authentic self, may have to discover herself all over again, may have to build a sense of self not on achievement but on being, not on external validation but on internal knowing, not on what she does but on who she is. Time in the underworld is different, is not linear, is not about progress, is about deepening, about waiting, about being in the darkness without knowing when or if it will end. The heroine who is used to controlling timelines, to setting goals, to measuring progress, she must learn to simply be, to sit in the dark, to wait without knowing what she is waiting for, to trust the process without being able to see the outcome. This is the ultimate surrender of control, the ultimate trust in the feminine process of transformation. Not pushing, not forcing, not making things happen, but allowing, waiting, being present to what is, even when what is feels unbearable. The body speaks in the underworld. All the messages she ignored come flooding back. The body that was pushed too hard now demands rest. The body that was treated as a machine to be controlled now demands to be honored as a living being with needs and rhythms and wisdom. She may need to sleep for days, for weeks, to do nothing but rest, to let the body recover from years of being overridden, to learn to listen to hunger, to fatigue, to pain, not as inconveniences to be managed, but as information to be honored. The body is the dark feminine, is the earth, is the mother, is the thing she rejected in favor of the mind. And now the body is teaching her, is showing her that she is not just a mind and a machine, but an embodied being. That wisdom comes not just from thinking, but from feeling, from sensing, from the somatic knowing she has been ignoring. She may rage in the underworld, may rage at the unfairness of it all, at the system that demanded she reject the feminine in order to succeed, at the culture that values masculine traits and devalues feminine ones, at the double standards she navigated, at the sacrifices she made, at the price she paid for success, at the emptiness that success brought. This rage is holy, is necessary, is the anger she suppressed for years because angry women are called difficult, are punished, are excluded. Here in the darkness, she can rage, can let the anger move through her, can acknowledge the truth of her experience, can name the injustice. This is not bitterness, is not becoming stuck in victimhood. is the necessary acknowledgement of what was done to her and what she did to herself in order to survive in a system not designed for her. She grieves the parts of herself she sacrificed, the relationships she neglected, the connections she lost, the creativity she suppressed, the joy she postponed, the years of her life spent proving rather than being, spent achieving rather than connecting, spent doing rather than feeling. She grieves the mother relationship she rejected, the feminine heritage she scorned, the sisterhood she avoided, the parts of herself she cut off in order to be acceptable to the masculine world. This grief is deep, is the mourning of a life half-lived, of potential unfulfilled not because of lack of achievement but because achievement was pursued at the expense of everything else. This grief must be felt, must be honored, must be allowed to move through her completely. In the descent, she may encounter other women who have made this journey before her, who have descended and returned, who know the territory, who can sit with her in the darkness without trying to fix her or save her or pull her out prematurely. These may be therapists, healers, friends, mentors, or they may be archetypal figures. The wise woman, the crone, the dark mother, the women who know that descent is necessary. That darkness is not the enemy. That transformation requires death of the old before birth of the new. These women do not offer solutions. Do not try to make the darkness go away, but offer presence, witnessing, the assurance that she is not alone, that this is the path, that others have walked it and survived, that she will too. The descent has no set timeline. For some women, it is months. For others, years. There is no rushing it. No shortcuts. No way to achieve your way through it. This is the feminine process. Organic. Cyclical. Operating on its own time. The heroine must learn patience. Must learn to trust that the darkness is doing its work, that the stripping away is necessary, that the emptying must be complete before the refilling can begin, that she is not broken, is being broken open, is being prepared for what comes next, is being initiated into a different way of being, one that honors both masculine and feminine, both achieving and being, both doing and feeling, both independence and connection. But she cannot know this yet, can only be in the darkness and trust that it has purpose. At the nadir of the descent, there is a moment of complete surrender, a moment when she stops fighting, stops trying to control, stops trying to fix or manage or solve, a moment when she simply lets go, accepts the darkness, accepts her brokenness, accepts that she does not know and cannot know and must simply trust. This surrender is not defeat, is not giving up, is the opposite, is finally giving into the process of transformation, is trusting the dark feminine wisdom that knows how to break down what no longer serves so that something new can be born. This moment of surrender is the turning point, is the death that precedes rebirth, is the letting go that allows new life to enter. And slowly, gradually, something shifts. The darkness begins to lighten, not back to the bright lights of the masculine world, but to a different kind of light, softer, more organic, more connected to earth and body and cycles. She begins to feel her body again, begins to notice hunger that is not just an inconvenience but information, fatigue that is not weakness but a call to rest, pain that is not an enemy but a teacher. She begins to feel emotions without being overwhelmed by them, begins to make space for sadness and anger and fear alongside joy and peace, begins to trust her own emotional knowing, begins to sense that she is not the same woman who descended, has been changed, transformed, initiated. The ascent begins, but it is not a return to the old life. Cannot be. She has been to the underworld, has met the dark goddess, has faced the rejected feminine, has surrendered control and survived. She is different now, knows things she did not know before, values things she did not value before, carries wisdom she did not have before. The ascent is not about going back to achievement and success and proving worth. It is about integration, about bringing together masculine and feminine, achievement and being, doing and feeling, independence and connection, about becoming whole rather than simply successful. But this is the next stage. For now, she rests in the liminal space, between the underworld and the upper world, between death and rebirth, between who she was and who she is becoming. And she knows that the journey is not over. It's just beginning again, but from a different place, a deeper place, a more whole place. Rest now with the descent. Rest knowing that if you are in the darkness, you are not lost. You are on the path, the necessary path, the path that leads to wholeness. The descent is not failure, it is initiation. The dark goddess is not punishing you, it is transforming you. The stripping away is not destruction, it is preparation for something new. The death is not the end, it is the passage to rebirth. Trust the darkness. Trust the process. Trust that you are being held even when you cannot see or feel it. Trust that the descent has purpose, that it is taking you somewhere you need to go, that it is teaching you what you need to learn, that you are not broken, are being broken open, are becoming whole. The journey continues. The transformation is happening, and you are exactly where you need to be. She rises from the underworld changed, not back to who she was before the descent. That woman is gone, died in the darkness, was stripped away by the dark goddess. What rises is different, softer but stronger, more vulnerable but more whole. She carries the wisdom of the descent, the knowledge that control is illusion, that surrender is strength, that the feminine she rejected holds essential truths, and now begins the work of reconnection, of reclaiming what was lost, of healing the split between masculine and feminine, of finding the lost parts of herself and bringing them home. This is not regression, is not returning to the powerless feminine she rejected at the beginning, is integration, is claiming both masculine achievement and feminine being, both doing and feeling, both independence and connection, both strength and vulnerability. This is the urgent yearning to reconnect with the feminine, and it changes everything. She begins with the body that carried her through the descent, that broke down to get her attention, that refused to be ignored any longer. She must learn to listen, to honor, to treat the body not as machine to be controlled, but as wise teacher to be respected. She learns to rest when tired rather than push through, to eat when hungry rather than override the signal, to move in ways that feel good rather than punish the body into submission, to notice the body's wisdom, the way it tenses when something is wrong, the way it relaxes when something is right, the gut feelings that are actually the body speaking, the somatic knowing she has been ignoring. This is slow work, requires unlearning decades of conditioning, but the body responds, begins to trust that it will be heard, begins to offer its wisdom more freely, becomes ally rather than enemy. She reconnects with emotion, with the feelings she learned to suppress in order to succeed in the masculine world. She makes space for sadness without needing to fix it, for anger without needing to justify it, for fear without needing to overcome it, for joy without needing to earn it. She learns that emotions are not weaknesses to be managed, but information to be honored, that they tell her what she actually wants, what she actually needs, what actually matters to her. She learns to sit with uncomfortable feelings rather than immediately moving to action, to simply feel rather than immediately solve. This is revolutionary for someone trained to be rational, strategic, unemotional, to allow herself to cry, to rage, to be afraid, to feel deeply without apologizing for it. This reconnection with emotion reconnects her to herself, to her own truth, to her own desires, to what she actually cares about beneath all the achievement and proving. She reconnects with creativity, with the part of herself that creates for the sake of creating rather than for achievement or recognition. She may paint, write, dance, garden, cook, make music, not to be good at it, not to produce something valuable, but because the creative act itself is nourishing, because it connects her to something larger than herself, because it allows her to express what cannot be expressed in words or rational thought. This creativity is different from the strategic creativity valued in the masculine world. It is not about solving problems or achieving goals. It is about process rather than product, about being in the flow, about allowing something to move through her. This is deeply feminine, is receptive rather than directive, is allowing rather than controlling, and it feeds something in her that achievement never could. She reconnects with other women, with the sisterhood she distanced herself from in her identification with the masculine. She realizes now what she missed, the understanding that comes from shared experience, the support that comes from women who know what it means to navigate patriarchal culture as female, the permission to be vulnerable, to not know, to struggle, to need help. She seeks out women's circles, women's groups, deep friendships with women who have also made this journey, who understand the descent, who value both masculine and feminine, who are also doing the work of integration. These connections are healing. Remind her she is not alone. Give her mirrors for parts of herself she is reclaiming. Offer the belonging she sacrificed when she became the exceptional woman, the one who was not like other women. And she must heal the mother wound, must return to the relationship she rejected at the beginning of the journey. This may mean actual reconciliation with her mother if her mother is still living. Conversations about the past. Understanding she rises from the underworld changed, not back to who she was before the descent. That woman is gone, died in the darkness, was stripped away by the dark goddess. What rises is different, softer but stronger, more vulnerable but more whole. She carries the wisdom of the descent, the knowledge that control is illusion, that surrender is strength, that the feminine she rejected holds essential truths. And now begins the work of reconnection, of reclaiming what was lost, of healing the split between masculine and feminine, of finding the lost parts of herself and bringing them home. This is not regression, is not returning to the powerless feminine she rejected at the beginning, is integration, is claiming both masculine achievement and feminine being, both doing and feeling, both independence and connection, both strength and vulnerability. This is the urgent yearning to reconnect with the feminine, and it changes everything. She begins with the body that carried her through the descent, that broke down to get her attention, that refused to be ignored any longer. She must learn to listen, to honor, to treat the body not as machine to be controlled, but as wise teacher to be respected. She learns to rest when tired rather than push through, to eat when hungry rather than override the signal, to move in ways that feel good rather than punish the body into submission, to notice the body's wisdom, the way it tenses when something is wrong, the way it relaxes when something is right, the gut feelings that are actually the body speaking, the somatic knowing she has been ignoring. This is slow work, requires unlearning decades of conditioning, but the body responds, begins to trust that it will be heard, begins to offer its wisdom more freely, becomes ally rather than enemy. She reconnects with emotion, with the feelings she learned to suppress in order to succeed in the masculine world. She makes space for sadness without needing to fix it, for anger without needing to justify it, for fear without needing to overcome it, for joy without needing to earn it. She learns that emotions are not weaknesses to be managed, but information to be honored, that they tell her what she actually wants, what she actually needs, what actually matters to her. She learns to sit with uncomfortable feelings rather than immediately moving to action, to simply feel rather than immediately solve. This is revolutionary for someone trained to be rational, strategic, unemotional, to allow herself to cry, to rage, to be afraid, to feel deeply without apologizing for it. This reconnection with emotion reconnects her to herself, to her own truth, to her own desires, to what she actually cares about beneath all the achievement and proving. She reconnects with creativity, with the part of herself that creates for the sake of creating rather than for achievement or recognition. She may paint, write, dance, garden, cook, make music, not to be good at it, not to produce something valuable, but because the creative act itself is nourishing, because it connects her to something larger than herself, because it allows her to express what cannot be expressed in words or rational thought. This creativity is different from the strategic creativity valued in the masculine world. It is not about solving problems or achieving goals. It is about process rather than product, about being in the flow, about allowing something to move through her. This is deeply feminine, is receptive rather than directive, is allowing rather than controlling, and it feeds something in her that achievement never could. She reconnects with other women. With the sisterhood, she distanced herself from inner identification with the masculine, She realizes now what she missed. The understanding that comes from shared experience. The support that comes from women who know what it means to navigate patriarchal culture as female. The permission to be vulnerable, to not know, to struggle, to need help. She seeks out women's circles, women's groups, deep friendships with women who have also made this journey, who understand the descent, who value both masculine and feminine, who are also doing the work of integration. These connections are healing. Remind her she is not alone. Give her mirrors for parts of herself she is reclaiming. Offer the belonging she sacrificed when she became the exceptional woman, the one who was not like other women. And she must heal the mother wound. Must return to the relationship she rejected at the beginning of the journey. This may mean actual reconciliation with her mother if her mother is still living. Conversations about the past. Understanding her mother's limitations not as personal failings but as results of living in patriarchal culture. Recognizing that her mother did the best she could with what she had. That her mother's powerlessness was not chosen but imposed. That her mother sacrificed not because she was weak but because that was what was demanded. That her mother's limitations were the limitations of her time, her culture, her options. This understanding brings compassion, brings forgiveness, brings the recognition that mother and daughter are both victims of the same system, both wounded by patriarchy's devaluation of the feminine. If the mother is not living or if reconciliation is not possible, the healing happens internally, with the archetypal mother, with the feminine lineage. The heroine must grieve what her mother could not give her because her mother did not have it to give. Must grieve the mother she needed but did not have. And then must find ways to mother herself. To give herself the nurturing, the support, the unconditional acceptance she longed for. To become the good mother to herself. This is not about blaming the actual mother. It is about healing the internal mother wound. The split between self and feminine, the rejection of feminine nurturing as weakness. She learns that nurturing is strength, that care is power, that the capacity to receive as well as give is essential to wholeness. She reevaluates the feminine heritage, all the things she scorned when she identified with the masculine, the domestic arts, the relational wisdom, the emotional intelligence, the intuitive knowing, the capacity for nurturing, the value of connection over competition, the honoring of cycles and rhythms, the trust and process over product. She sees now that these are not weaknesses, are not evidence of limitation, are not signs of powerlessness, are valid ways of being in the world, are sources of wisdom the masculine world desperately needs, are essential to wholeness. She does not need to become traditionally feminine, does not need to embrace domesticity if that does not call to her, but she needs to stop scorning the feminine, needs to recognize its value, needs to reclaim the feminine qualities she possesses and integrate them with the masculine qualities she developed. She learns to value being as much as doing, learns that her worth is not dependent on achievement, that she has inherent value simply for existing, that she does not need to earn her right to be here through constant proving. This is radical, revolutionary. For someone who has spent her life achieving, competing, proving worth through external accomplishment, to recognize that none of that is necessary, that she would be worthy even if she never achieved another thing. That being is enough. This does not mean she stops achieving. does not mean she abandons goals or ambition, but it means achievement becomes one part of life rather than the whole thing, becomes something she chooses rather than something she must do to prove worth, becomes expression of self rather than validation of self. She discovers she can be both, can be Athena and Aphrodite, can be strategic and sensual, can be achieving and creative, can be independent and connected, can be rational and emotional, can be strong and vulnerable. The either-or thinking that dominated the first half of the journey, either masculine or feminine, either career or relationship, either thinking or feeling, dissolves, is replaced by both and, by integration, by the recognition that wholeness requires all of it, requires honoring both masculine and feminine within herself, requires developing the capacity to shift between them as needed, to be directive when direction is needed, to be receptive when receptivity is needed, to do when doing is called for, to be when being is called for. This fluidity, this integration, this is what she was seeking all along without knowing it. She learns about cycles, about the feminine wisdom of rhythms, that life is not linear progress but cyclical process, that there are times for growth and times for rest, times for doing and times for being, times for external focus and times for internal focus, times for expansion and times for consolidation. The final stage is not an ending but a beginning, a new way of being in the world. The heroine has completed the cycle, has separated from the feminine, has identified with the masculine, has proven herself in the masculine world, has descended into darkness when that proved insufficient, has reconnected with the rejected feminine, and now she must integrate, must bring together masculine and feminine, must heal the wounded masculine within, must achieve the sacred marriage. Not the marriage to an external partner, though that may also happen, but the internal marriage, the hieros gamos, the union of opposites within her own psyche, the integration that creates wholeness. This is not about balance in the sense of 50-50. It is not about being equally masculine and feminine at all times. It is about having access to both, being able to draw on masculine or feminine qualities as needed, being fluid rather than fixed, being whole rather than half. She must heal the wounded masculine within. This is crucial. It is often overlooked. The descent and reconnection with the feminine are not about rejecting the masculine, are not about replacing masculine with feminine, are about integration, and integration requires healing the relationship with the masculine. The heroine who has been wounded by patriarchy, who has been forced to prove herself in systems not designed for her, who has experienced sexism and discrimination and the devaluation of the feminine, she carries wounds from the masculine, carries anger, carries distrust, carries the sense that masculine equals oppressive. But the wounded masculine is not the same as healthy masculine. Patriarchy is not the same as true masculine energy, and she must learn to distinguish between them. The wounded masculine is about domination, about control, about power over others, about competition that requires someone else to lose, about rationality that denies emotion, about independence that refuses connection, about strength that cannot admit vulnerability. This is the masculine distorted by patriarchy, by the culture that tells men they cannot feel, cannot need, cannot be vulnerable. That measures worth by dominance. That sees the feminine as threat. This wounded masculine has hurt her, has limited her, has forced her to choose between masculine success and feminine being. And she is right to be angry about this, right to reject this version of the masculine. But this is not the only masculine. The healthy masculine is different, is about direction without domination, structure without rigidity, strength that can hold vulnerability, focus that does not exclude connection, rationality that honors emotion, independence that allows interdependence, action that serves rather than conquers. This healthy masculine is what she needs, is what she can develop within herself, is the supportive inner masculine that can hold and protect and direct the feminine energy she has reclaimed, is the yontarine, the doing that supports the being, the structure that holds the flow, the container that allows the content to be expressed. This is the masculine she must cultivate, must heal, must integrate with the feminine. She learns to differentiate her father from patriarchy, her actual father with his limitations and his wounds and his own struggles within a system that damaged him too, and the patriarchal father, the archetypal oppressor, the system that devalues the feminine. She may need to grieve the father she needed but did not have, the father who could have validated her feminine qualities as well as her masculine achievements, the father who could have been proud of her for who she was rather than what she accomplished, the father who could have shown her that masculine strength includes the capacity to nurture, to feel, to connect. She grieves this, and then she finds the healthy father within, the supportive masculine that is not external validation but internal knowing, the inner father who does not demand proof but offers unconditional support. She learns that she does not need external masculine approval, does not need the father's recognition, does not need male validation, does not need to prove herself worthy to patriarchal systems, because the approval she needs comes from within, from her own integration of healthy masculine and feminine, from her own sense of worth that is not dependent on achievement or recognition or being chosen. She has her own internal authority now, her own sense of what is right and true and meaningful, not imposed from outside but arising from within. This is the gift of the journey. This is the freedom that comes from integration. She no longer needs anyone outside herself to tell her she is valuable. She knows. The sacred marriage happens within, is the conscious union of masculine and feminine energies in her own psyche, is not about finding a partner who completes her, is about becoming complete within herself, is about developing both masculine and feminine qualities, both yang and yin, both solar and lunar, both active and receptive, both directive and flowing, and learning to move between them fluidly, to call forth the masculine when masculine is needed, when structure is required, when action must be taken, when focus is called for, when boundaries must be set, and to call forth the feminine when feminine is needed, when receptivity is appropriate, when connection is primary, when intuition speaks, when being is more important than doing. This fluidity, this integration, this is wholeness. She learns to serve something larger than herself. This is the final shift. From the first half of the journey where achievement was about proving her worth, establishing her identity, gaining recognition, to this second half where achievement becomes service, where her gifts are not for self-aggrandizement but for contribution, where she uses her masculine capacity to achieve and her feminine capacity to nurture in service of something that matters beyond personal success. This might be social justice work, mentoring younger women, creating art that speaks truth, healing work, teaching, mothering with consciousness, work that combines her developed masculine skills with her reclaimed feminine wisdom, work that arises not from need to prove but from desire to give, from fullness rather than emptiness, from wholeness rather than woundedness. She becomes the mentor, the guide, the woman who can help other women navigate this journey, who understands the necessity of separating from the feminine to gain access to the masculine world, who knows the cost of that separation, who has experienced the emptiness of achievement without connection to self, who has descended and returned, who has reclaimed the feminine and integrated it with the masculine. She can see younger women on the first half of the journey and honor where they are without trying to pull them prematurely to the second half. Can see women in descent and offer presence without trying to rescue. Can see women reconnecting with the feminine and celebrate without judgment. Can see women integrating and witness the beauty of wholeness. She has walked the path. She knows the territory. She can be guide. She recognizes this journey in myth and story, sees it in Inanna's descent to the underworld, in Persephone's abduction and transformation, in Psyche's tasks and reunion with Eros, in the fairy tales where the heroine must lose everything to gain herself, in the goddess stories where death and rebirth cycle eternally, in the lives of women throughout history who navigated patriarchy while trying to remain whole. She is part of a lineage, part of a pattern larger than herself. This is not just her personal story. Is the archetypal journey of the heroine in patriarchal culture. Is the journey all women must make in some form. From separation through descent to reconnection to integration. From half to whole. From divided to unified. From wounded to healed. She learns that integration is not a destination but a practice. Is not something achieved once and maintained forever. Is the daily, hourly, moment-by-moment choice to honor both masculine and feminine, to listen to the body and take action, to feel the emotions and think strategically, to be in relationship and maintain autonomy, to create from overflow and achieve with focus, to rest when needed and work when called, to speak truth and listen deeply, to give from fullness and receive with grace, to be both strong and vulnerable, both independent and connected, both directive and receptive. This practice is the rest of her life, is the way she stays whole, is how she embodies the integration she has worked so hard to achieve. She understands now why the journey was necessary, why she had to reject the feminine to gain the masculine, why she had to succeed in the masculine world to discover its limitations, why she had to descend into darkness to find what she had rejected, why she had to reconnect with the feminine to become whole. Each stage was essential, each movement necessary. The separation was not a mistake. The achievement was not wasted. The descent was not failure. The reconnection was not regression. All of it was part of the journey toward wholeness. All of it necessary to become who she is now, a woman who contains both masculine and feminine, who can be both achieving and being, who is whole rather than half, who has integrated the opposites, who has achieved the sacred marriage. She carries wounds still. This is important to acknowledge. The journey heals much, but not everything. She carries the scars of navigating patriarchy, the memories of being devalued for her femininity, the cost of proving herself in systems not designed for her, the years lost to achievement that left her empty, the relationships sacrificed, the parts of herself she rejected. These wounds do not disappear with integration, but they change, become sources of wisdom rather than sources of pain, become teachers rather than tormentors, become the places where she can connect with other women who carry similar wounds, become her qualification to guide, become part of her story, part of what makes her whole. She knows she will be tested. Integration does not protect her from patriarchy, does not mean she will no longer face sexism or discrimination or the devaluation of the feminine, does not mean the world has changed simply because she has. The culture is still patriarchal. The systems are still designed for masculine dominance. The feminine is still devalued. But she is different now, responds differently, does not internalize the devaluation, does not accept the false choice between masculine and feminine, does not need external validation, speaks her truth even when it is unwelcome, sets boundaries even when they are challenged, honors the feminine even when it is scorned, maintains her integration even in systems that demand division. This is the practice. This is the challenge. This is how she lives the wholeness she has achieved. She offers the journey to the next generation, to her daughters, biological or metaphorical. She does not force them to walk the same path, does not require them to reject the feminine as she did, does not demand they prove themselves as she did. But she also does not shield them from reality, does not pretend patriarchy does not exist, does not promise them a world that values feminine and masculine equally because that world does not yet exist. Instead, she offers them the truth of the journey, the necessity of finding their own path, the importance of both masculine achievement and feminine being, the value of dissent, the power of integration, the possibility of wholeness. And she trusts them to make their own journey, to find their own way, to discover their own wholeness in their own time. She lives from her center now, not from external expectations, not from need to prove, not from fear of being too much or not enough, but from the still point within, the place of integration, the sacred marriage of masculine and feminine, the wholeness that is her birthright finally claimed. She moves in the world with different energy, is present in a different way, speaks from a different place, creates from overflow, loves from wholeness, serves from fullness, rests without guilt, works without drivenness, achieves without losing herself, connects without disappearing. She is both and, is multiple, is complex, is whole. This is the gift of the heroine's journey. This is the wisdom earned through descent. This is the integration that makes her finally, fully, completely herself. Rest now with this wholeness. Rest knowing that the journey has brought you here, to this place of integration, of sacred marriage, of masculine and feminine united within. You are not half, not divided, not forced to choose. You are whole. You contain both, can be both, can honor both, the masculine achievement and the feminine being, the doing and the feeling, the independence and the connection, the strength and the vulnerability, the rational and the intuitive, the solar and the lunar. All of it. All of you. This is your birthright. This is your wholeness. This is who you have always been beneath the wounds and the divisions and the false choices. Welcome home to yourself. Welcome home to wholeness. The journey is complete, and it is just beginning, because integration is not a destination, is a practice, is the daily choice to honor all of who you are, to be whole, to be both and, to be fully, completely, magnificently yourself. The journey is complete. You've traveled far tonight, through shadows, through light, through depths most never see. Your mind has done its work. You can rest now. This is the Stillpoint, your anchor in the sea of thought, a place you can always return to whenever the world becomes too loud. Thank you for listening. Thank you for trusting this space, for trusting yourself. Sleep well. Good night.